Hey everyone, this is Dave from Scent Memories. Welcome back to my channel. In today's review, we'll be talking about a very special fragrance from my favorite house. So, if you're curious to know more about this, don't go away. So welcome back everyone. As always, before we actually start the review, if you haven't already, I would love it if you can subscribe to my channel by clicking that subscribe button down below and the bell. That way when I do upload a new video or I have new content, excuse me, you'll be the first to know about it. So in today's review, we're talking about a very special fragrance, one that I just picked up last month. This is of course coming from my favorite house. This is from the house of Roja Parfums, and this is Harrods Aoud. Now I pronounce the Aoud, the A in Aoud. Some people just say Oud, but I think this is the more Middle Eastern appropriate way of saying it. So before we get into the review, just talking about a little clarification on the Harrods exclusives from Roja Parfums. There actually are quite a bit. There's a handful of releases that actually are already out there from Roja that are exclusive to Harrods. So there's Harrods Parfum Pour Homme, there's Harrods Aoud, there's H the exclusive Pour Homme and H the exclusive Pour Femme. There's actually quite a bit of different releases, and I might have missed one. So it gets a little confusing of how to navigate which one. This one for me in particular is very unique from any of the Roja fragrances that I've actually tried, sampled, or owned. This one is an outstanding fragrance. It is an exceptional release, and actually, honestly, this has become one of my favorite Rojas. It is really, really, really good. So let's talk about this one. This is a release from 2019. The nose behind this is Roja Dove, and this is a woody, spicy fragrance. Now, talking about the presentation for a second, this is a Roja, so the Harrods Parfum plaque, so the Harrods Aoud, plaque is on the front, so you can see where it says Roja Parfums Harrods Aoud. The cap is a beautiful green, almost green translucent cap, which all the different Harrods exclusive fragrances have. This one is for me a standout from any other Roja. It is truly exceptional. Some people have compared this one to Creed's Royal Oud or Creed's Spice and Wood. I don't get the Royal Oud similarity. I think there are some similarities. This one to me is more in line with like a Creed's Spice and Woods, but this one is far, far better, and it actually goes in a little bit of a different direction. So what do we get with this fragrance? Let's just talk about it for a second. Now, like all Rojas, the actual sprayer, the Atomizer, is exceptionally good. This one for me is so well blended. It's so exceptionally just fantastic. So right off the bat, you get this very airy, soapy aldehydes that are short-lived, but they're paired with a very almost bitter, herbaceous, verdant Artemisia. Now the Artemisia here is very big in the opening. It's very, it is very herbal. It is very green. It is also, again, very verdant, and it's also married with these citruses, these citrus bouquet of like grapefruit and lime and bergamot. It helps balance out those harsher, greener notes from Artemisia and make it brighter. And it's as it starts drying down, you get this Rose de May or Rose de Mai, which can only be cultivated in the month of May. It is a very amorous, very soft note that helps kind of soften and balance out those harsher top notes. Oh, I love this one. Oh. Now, as it starts drying down into the base, you get the cedar note, and the cedar here is a bit like almost like pencil shavings, almost like smelling like fresh pencil shavings, with this almost foliage feel to it. I really love the way that cedar is used here, and the myrrh. Now, the myrrh here is a bit resinous, but it's also it is a resin, but it also has almost this balsamic feel to it. It's definitely a robust resin. Now as it starts going into the base even more, you get the cinnamon. The cinnamon here is very warm, very enticing. Cinnamon has been used for thousands of years in perfumery. It's used as a warming ingredient, but it's also been used for, you know, in ancient China and ancient Egypt. It's been used for a very, very long time. It's often a very warming sensation And for here, it's very enticing. Now, as it starts getting into that base even more, you get those deeper, warmer Oriental notes. Even though this is a spicy, it's a woodsy, spicy fragrance, it definitely has an Oriental base to it. Now the Alabanum here is somewhat fruity. It's somewhat green, and paired with the this musk mellow, the ambrette. Now the ambrette here is, of course, it's a little bit musky, but it's almost savory in the way it's used here, and it's paired with that Alabanum and that cedar really, really, really well. It's also, the Alabanum here is almost floral in the way it's used. Now, as it starts even getting drier, now there's oud here listed in the ingredients, but I don't really get any oud, not truly. It might be very lightly treated, if anything, but it's not a big bombastic oud. It is very, very soft, and maybe it's helping provide a deeper, darker base. But it's, again, not an oud fragrance at all, which is kind of like what you get in Royal Oud or any of the other creeds that say oud in the name, but here it's not an oud fragrance whatsoever. So here, Nagamotha or cypriol oil is really well blended in the base. It's one of my favorite ingredients. It is a very forested, sylvan kind of a note here. It gives a very earthy, forested quality, and it's going to be married with the other base notes very, very well. It's paired with those other notes to make it a very green, herbaceous feel, which I think is fantastic. I love the way it's used here. Now, elemi is also used here, and elemi is a little bit peppery, a little bit piney, and it's coming off a little bit almost savory in the way that elemi is used. And elemi is a resin, so it's also giving off a bit of a resinous quality, but it's also working with that gaiac wood, and the gaiac wood here is a bit almost like birch tar, giving almost like a leathery tobacco feel, almost like if you're smelling like a smoky tobacco. It doesn't have a very smoky aspect to it, but it gives almost this tobacco smoky feel. Now, cashmerean is also used, and cashmerean, you get this almost ambery, musky quality. It's a synthetic note, so it's not found in nature, but it is used here almost like, it's almost arboriaceous is the way it's used, where it's giving off this kind of warming, musky feel in the base, which is another depth, another level of complexity that you find with Roja fragrances. There's a lot of layers happening. There's a lot of layers of complexity happening all at once, but it's so well blended. Now, at the base, there's also a sandalwood note here, and sandalwood is used as a way to soften those resinous, balsamic qualities of the resins. You have benzoin here as well, and the benzoin is almost like a vanillic, balsamic, syrupy note, but it's used with sandalwood. And again, the sandalwood here is used to kind of soften a lot of those balsamic, darker, vanillic, spicy, fragrant notes. Because what it's doing, it's acting almost as like a softening agent, tying everything together. It's a little bit milky, it's a bit creamy, and it's paired with this labdanum. Now, Roja loves using labdanum in his fragrances. Here, it's almost honey-like, it's almost like leathery and honey-like at the same time, but it's used as a fixative, again, with the sandalwood, to tie a lot of those notes together. And labdanum can also be used to replace ambergris, because natural ambergris is extremely expensive to use in a raw material, but it can be used to replace the olfactory qualities of ambergris. And the labdanum here is, again, a little bit airy, it's a bit smoky, it's a bit leathery, but it's also a little bit honey-like at the same time, and I absolutely love the way it's used here. It's very supple, and labdanum is a key. It's like almost like a keynote ingredient in Roja parfums. It's used a lot in his different fragrance compositions. He uses it almost as like a signature note, and you can pick up that labdanum very, very easily. For me, this is an outstanding, outstanding fragrance. I get really good longevity on this. I get at least 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours at least, with a moderate projection, about 1 or 2 hours of projection. I find this one to be quite versatile. You can wear this one. I've been wearing this one in like cooler summer evenings, or if it definitely once it starts getting colder out, I'm gonna be rocking this one a lot because I can see this one really, really being utilized very well in the cold weather because of those darker fragrant notes. I think this one can be worn dressed down casually, absolutely can be worn dressed up in a sophisticated setting, whether it's a nice dinner or a special occasion like a wedding. I think this one is going to be very well received. It is sort of mass appealing in a way that I don't think anyone would be offended by it. It definitely is a unisex fragrance. It doesn't go masculine, it doesn't go feminine, it's right down the middle, but it is an outstanding, outstanding release. So let me know your thoughts on Roja Harrods Aoud. Have you smelled it? Have you been wanting to smell it? Have you tried it and not liked it? Have you tried it and loved it? I would love to know your thoughts on it. So that's it for my review, everyone. I really appreciate you all sticking around to watch it. As always, stay safe and take care of each other. Bye, everyone.